Now, did our love story start there though? When we were 13 back in 1988.
I mean, it
planted a seed.
It planted a seed because it kept. We started right. We wrote each other for a little while.
We didn't write each other then.
Initially, we didn't.
No, because the next time we met was in.
Okay, well, tell that story.
1991. So the next time me and Maurice met was 1991, 3 years after our initial meeting. But this time we meet in Jackson, Michigan.
Right.
At Mount Zion Church of God in Christ. And why were y'all in Jackson, Michigan?
My dad was doing a revival in Michigan. And of course we was there.
Of course.
Of course.
Y'all was there. I didn't have to be there.
No, you didn't have to be. Oh, your mom said we going to see.
Yeah, so again, my mom says.
Your mom was putting you in position, girl. Shoot.
Maurice and Tara are here. He's running a revival. We're going to go to this revival. So I go to the revival. And I remembered Maurice. And I was like, oh, I remember him. I remember them. So I was like cool to go. I was excited to see him again, I guess. So we go to the revival and his dad preaches and all that good stuff and church is over. And guess what? He's checking me out again. So I'm thinking he must remember me, right? Wrong. The Joker didn't even remember me.
Okay, in my defense, I didn't even think about the fact that you was in jail. It just didn't cross my mind that would be her. And I hadn't seen you in a while. It didn't like it was 3 years.
Because we didn't correspond.
And we weren't corresponding. And 3 years that went by, you was looking different. You know what I'm saying? I mean, so yeah. I'm sorry. I didn't change much. I probably still had a high top fade.
I think you did.
A high right or something, I'm sure.
Yeah, you did. So, this time, we exchanged. Did we exchange phone numbers?
Yeah, I'm sure.
And because back then it was no text message.
Oh yeah, you had to be nice with that pen.
Yes, you had to write actual letters and send them in the mail, snail mail. So.
Oh, that was. Envelope.
I know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Envelope.
Yes. So this time around we did correspond, once or twice.
Oh yeah.
And I'm gonna post some pictures from that time, so y'all can see.
We even got letters
like.
from that
We
time.
still have those letters from 1991. We still have them. So yeah, so we wrote each other a few times, and then the letter stopped. We didn't hear from each other for a while. So Maurice called me the next time he came to Jackson, which was about a year later. He came for a funeral, but we didn't get to see each other because y'all were in and out. But the next time, 1994. That was the year. Because, you knew you were coming to Jackson. I didn't know you was coming to Jackson. I hadn't talked to him in like 3 years. So he was the furthest thing from my mind, honestly, because we hadn't talked in 3 years. We hadn't wrote each other. So I come home from work one night. This is 1994, so I'm 19 now. I come home from work one night, and I work at the Jackson All-Star Dairy. If anybody knows me, knows how much I love ice cream, so that was like the perfect job for me. Anyway, I digress. So I get home from work about 10:30, and my mom says, Danica, Maurice called you. And she said it like Maurice always calls me. And I'm like, Maurice who? I don't know no Maurice.
Forgot.
She was like, Mobley, Tara's son. I was like, he did? She was like, yeah. I was like, well, what did he say? I told you I was at work and that she would have me call you back. So she's like, I said, well, Mom, what's the number? She said, the number's in the address book. For you millennials and teeny boppers out there, address books is the same as your contacts in your cell phone, except you have to actually write down the name and number, and you can put it in alphabetical order
so
by
they
last
call
name.
a black book?
No, that's a black book for dudes. It was my mama's address book that she kept in the... No, Maurice, it wasn't a black book.
No, my grandma had a little pretty brown one.
Yeah. So My mom's like, I have her number, his mom's number is in my address book. So I look up the number and I call, and his sister-in-law answered the phone, Cam. And so I said, hello, may I speak to Maurice, please? And she said, well, he's not here. May I ask who's calling? I said, will you please tell him Danica called? She said, oh, Danica, he's up there. I said, he's up where? She said, he's in Jackson. I was like, he is? Totally shocked. Like, he's here? She was like, yeah. I was like, oh, well, he called me and I was just going back. She said, well, he's up there. She was like, I guess she must have called your mom or something to let you know that I had called. She had to. Mm-hmm. So, so we hung up and I just kind of waited for him to call me back. And he did. Mm-hmm. Didn't take long. Cam got the message to you. He called me back. And so, do you remember what you said?
No, I don't remember what I said.
Of course not.
I said the boy's back and there's going to be trouble.
No. He said, I really want to see you while I'm in town. Will you ask your mom, is it okay if I stop by? Wow. Isn't that a gentleman?
Such a... Woo!
I was shocked. I was like, ask my mom if it's okay to stop by. Because it was kind of late. It was like going on 11 o'clock.
Yeah, it was late. I do remember that.
Yeah, so I didn't get home till like 10:30 from work.
I do remember.
So my mom said, yeah, that's cool, you can stop by. And I gave him my address. He knows how to get around Jackson. This man knows how to get around any town he go to. Anyway, so he comes to my mom's house, knocks on the door. And I, open the door and I'm like, oh my God, he's so cute. Because by now you have a bald head. No more high top.
Really? I had a bald head then?
Yep, he had a bald head, but no facial.
Oh yeah, that was the
he had the baby
the
face.
Fab Five era.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So you looking like Jalen Rose.
Of course.
Yeah. So he comes in and we just kind of chit chat. We just kind of small talk, chit chat and stuff. He was a gentleman. He didn't stay long. He said, I just really wanted to see you while I was in town. I was like, that's really nice of you. Thanks for stopping by. And so he told me he was going to call me. He asked me what I was doing the next day. I said, well, I got to work. I get off at 4. He said, okay, I'm going to call you about 7 o'clock. I said, okay, cool. The next day comes, 4 o'clock comes, I get up for work. I change clothes and all that good stuff. Me and Monica's about to go hang out. And I'm like, well, Murray said he was going to call me at 7 o'clock. So back then, again, no cell phone. So I had to get back home by 7 o'clock to catch that phone call. 7 o'clock comes and goes, y'all. No phone call. You
gotta. It's like when you go fishing and you hook bait and you put it on the line and you cast it and you just kind of jerk it in front of the fish to make them kind of anxious. Get them riled up. Then you let it sit there a little bit. Then you jerk it some more. They they hungry now. Then all of a sudden they hit that line, pop, pop, got you one. Hook, line, and sinker. Go ahead, tell the rest of the story.
That's not at all how it went down. Trust me.
Oh boy.
Anyway, I wasn't pressed. I'm like, whatever. He just like all the other dudes. They say they gonna call, they don't. Whatever. I'm going on with my life. I ain't pressed. I ain't stressing it. Next morning, my phone rings bright and early. When I say bright and early, like 7 o'clock early. It's this guy. Did he get the time mixed up? I thought you was calling me at 7 p.m. on Friday.
No, I said
me like 7 a.m. Saturday morning.
I said it's gonna be
no, you
7 a.m.
said no, you didn't.
I said
no,
that.
you didn't. Anyway, he calls me, wakes me up out of my sleep. Saturday morning. Danica, I'm so sorry I didn't call you yesterday. But he had a legitimate excuse.
What was it?
His little nephew burnt his hand really bad on an iron, and they had to take him to the emergency room.
Yeah,
Carl did.
He did.
That's why
and
he
we wasn't in Jackson.
Right.
We was.
And you were in Kalamazoo.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, okay, that's a legitimate reason. I was like, I understand, no problem. He said this. He said, I really want to spend some time with you while I'm in town. He said, so will you ask your mom if it's okay? My grandfather is having his convention in Kalamazoo, and it's like a banquet and a dinner, and they have like a teen night, and will you ask your mom if it's okay if you come up here with me? You could spend a night and stay in my sister's room. I said, really? I said, well, how am I going to get there? Because, I'm in Jackson, he's in Kalamazoo. It's like a 40-minute ride. He's like, oh, I'm going to come get you. I said, you are? I was blown away by that. Oh. Yes, I was like, because I'm from Jackson, right? Mm-hmm. I'm used to stuff taking 5 minutes to get to. And to drive on the highway was a big deal.
I feel you. Mm-hmm.
And so I'm like, you gonna come all the way down here to get me? Like, to me, that's like, oh my God, nobody just does that. Like, when you grow up in a small town, to go out of town is like a big deal.
Yeah,
and it's like an all-day event to go out of town. That was
like traveling from College Park to downtown for me.
And with you being from Atlanta, you're used to driving, taking 25, 30, 40 minutes to get places. It was no big deal to him. So I was like, you're going to come all the way down here to get me? He's like, yes. He said, I really want to see you. I said, oh my God. I said, well, I'll ask my mom. I asked my mom. She said, yeah, that's fine. And she said, he's going to come get you? I was like, yes, Mom. He's going to come get me. And you and Kelly came and picked me up.
Kelly came?
Yeah. Kelly rode with you. You don't remember that?
I don't remember Kelly ride. She was in the back. She must have got me.
You had that big old 15-passenger van. He picked me up, and I think it was red, too.
It was red.
A red 15-passenger van, because a bunch of them came up, to Michigan from Atlanta, so they had to have a big old, it was, again, before the days of SUVs. Yeah. It was a 15-passenger van. And you came and picked me up.
I came and picked you up and took you back to Kalamazoo.
Took me to Kalamazoo.
Bumping 8-Ball and MJG.
Oh, yeah. I didn't know what I was listening to.
She was like, what in the world? And trust me, anybody know 8-Ball MJG? It was that song talking about lay it down. So you already know what that is. Her eyes are big and she like, I don't know.
He switched it up and put on Blackstreet, which was much better.
Yeah, I did.
He did. He's like, I'll spare you.
I'll spare your ears.
Yeah. And he put on that Blackstreet, which I was, I was into Blackstreet, so that was cool. So I go to Kalamazoo that we're staying at was like right down the street from a Jacobson's department store. Mm-hmm. And so me and Maurice walked down to the department store, and we're just talking, chit-chatting, getting to know each other. And he tells me how much he loves polo as we're walking through the men's section, so we go and look at the polo stuff in the men's section. And then we're going down the escalator, and he says this.
I'm going to marry you.
Yes. He said,
I'm going to marry you.
He said, I really believe you're going to be my wife. I'm going to marry you. And I'm like a quarter of the way down the escalator when he says this, and I turn around and look back at him like, what? He was like, I really believe you're going to be my wife. I said, why would you say something like that? You don't even know me.
And we were how old?
19, and you were 18. I said, you don't even know me. He was like, he said, me and my daddy was talking about that. And what did your dad said something to you along the same lines as well.
I don't know.
But I remember you mentioned that you and your dad had talked about that. And you said this, he was like, Danica, it's no coincidence that our families are intertwined like this and the way we met. He was like, I really believe it's destined for us to be together. You're going to be my wife. I was like, whatever. I guess he was right, huh?
Prophet speaks.
You listen?
You listen.
So anyway, it was a very nice weekend. I had a lot of fun. Me and his sister got along immediately. I feel like we had always known each other, and Shay was there too.
Yep, sure was.
So I clicked with Shay right away. So it was just it was just a really fun weekend. And then we all came back to Jackson. They were supposed to leave to go back to Atlanta, but they never left. It took them forever to leave.
So hard to get out of Jackson. Oh, it's so hard to get out.
So me and you ended up kicking it that whole Sunday evening in Jackson, sitting in front of Aunt Irma. Mother tried
we kicked it in front of the car, listening to Jodeci. Yeah, that was fun.
Yes.
That was some good memories.
Sweet memories. So that's how we met. So that's it. So any thoughts, Maurice?
Oh, no. I'm just happy to be here.
I'm happy to have you here.
Thanks.
You're welcome. So that's it.
That's it.
We gonna close it out?
Yep, close it out. We're gonna ask y'all to hit the like button, the
Subscribe button,
comment.
notification bell.
Right. And until then, we'll see you. Mobley Culture. Peace.
Deuces.
Because we didn't have no caller ID. We didn't have none of that stuff like that. Caller IDs.